temporal research facility stood on the outskirts of Earth's last megacity, a beacon of human ingenuity and ambition. Dr. Elaine Carter, the lead physicist, had spent years perfecting the Temporal Singularity Engine, TSE, a device designed to explore the mysteries of time travel. The project had been plagued with skepticism, but Elaine's unyielding determination pushed it forward. Humanity was on the brink of a discovery that could redefine existence. As Elaine prepared for the first live test, her assistant, Daniel Vega, voiced his concerns. "Are we sure the containment field can handle this? The simulations showed—" "Simulations aren't reality," Elaine interrupted, her eyes alight with conviction. "If this works, we'll unlock the secrets of time itself." The room buzzed with anticipation as the TSE powered up. A low hum grew into a deafening roar as the air shimmered with energy. Elaine stepped into the chamber, wearing a sleek exosuit designed for temporal stability. Her voice echoed through the comm system. "Initiating jump in 3, 2, 1. A blinding flash enveloped the room, and Elaine was gone. When she opened her eyes, she wasn't in the lab. She stood in a dense jungle, the air thick with humidity, and the cries of alien creatures echoing in the distance. The sky above was a kaleidoscope of unfamiliar constellations. She had expected to jump a few hours into the past. Not this. "Where am I?" Elaine whispered, her voice trembling. The TSE on her wrist blinked erratically, its screen displaying an error. Temporal coordinates unknown. A world-forgotten Elaine's training kicked in as she assessed her surroundings. The jungle teemed with life, but none of it resembled Earth's flora or fauna. Towering trees with glowing leaves loomed overhead, and six-legged creatures skittered. Through the underbrush, her suit's sensors detected breathable air, but the radiation levels were slightly elevated. Wherever she was, it wasn't just another time. It was another world. As she ventured deeper into the jungle, she stumbled upon ruins. Massive stone structures, overgrown with vines, hinted at a long-lost civilization. Strange symbols adorned the walls, glowing faintly as she approached. Her wrist device scanned the symbols, but the language was unrecognizable. Elaine's thoughts raced. Am I in the distant past, or an alternate timeline? Her musings were cut short by a distant roar. Something massive was moving through the jungle, and it was coming closer. She ducked into the ruins, her heart pounding. Peering from behind a crumbled wall, she saw it, a creature straight out of nightmares. It was reptilian, standing at least 20 feet tall, with rows of jagged teeth and glowing blue eyes. It sniffed the air, its gaze locking onto her hiding spot. "Great," Elaine muttered. "First-time travel, now dinosaurs." The creature lunged, and Elaine sprinted deeper, into the ruins. Her suit enhanced her speed, but the beast was relentless. She spotted a narrow tunnel ahead and dove in, the creature's jaws snapping shut inches behind her. Inside the tunnel, she found a strange artifact. It pulsed with energy, and when she touched it, her TSE recalibrated, displaying new coordinates. Hope surged within her. If she could harness the artifact's energy, she might find a way back. The Paradox Council. Elaine's attempt to use the artifact triggered another jump. This time, she landed in a sprawling city of gleaming towers and flying vehicles. The architecture was unlike anything she'd seen, blending organic shapes with advanced technology. She realized she wasn't alone. Tall, humanoid beings with iridescent skin and elongated limbs surrounded her, their expressions unreadable. One of them stepped forward, speaking in a harmonious language. Her suit translated, "Welcome, traveler. You have breached the temporal." "Accord?" Elaine blinked. "The what?" The being gestured, and a holographic image appeared, showing a web of timelines. "Time is not a toy for mortals. Your actions have created ripples, endangering countless realities. You must stand before the Paradox Council." Before she could protest, Elaine was escorted to a grand chamber. The council, composed of beings from various timelines, loomed over her. They spoke of the dangers she had unleashed, of civilizations erased and futures rewritten. But as they deliberated her fate, Elaine's mind raced. She couldn't let them destroy her timeline to fix the damage. Allies and betrayal, one of the council members, a human named Captain Leora Kane from an alternate Earth, approached Elaine in secret. "I believe you," Kane whispered. "Your jump wasn't random. Someone wanted you here." Together, they uncovered a conspiracy. A rogue faction within the council was manipulating timelines for their gain, using travelers like Elaine as scapegoats. Kane revealed a hidden resistance movement determined to expose the truth. Elaine joined the resistance, using her scientific expertise to devise a plan. They needed to access the council's core nexus, a device controlling the flow of time, to gather evidence. The mission was fraught with danger, requiring not just stealth but a deep understanding of temporal mechanics. Elaine spent days analyzing the Nexus's complex architecture, searching for vulnerabilities while forging bonds with the Resistance. During a clandestine operation, Kane and Elaine uncovered a hidden file, a record of Elaine's original jump. The data revealed an encrypted signal sent just before the TSE activated. Someone had tampered with her experiment, ensuring she'd end up in the Council's domain. The discovery solidified their resolve, but it also painted a target on their backs. The rogue faction intensified their efforts to capture them, leading to a high-stakes game of cat and mouse across the city's labyrinthine depths. The Resistance infiltrated the Nexus, a sprawling structure at the heart of the city. Its design was mind-bending, with corridors that seemed to twist and loop, defying the laws of physics. Elaine marveled at the technology but focused on her task, extracting data to expose the rogue faction. As she worked, alarms blared. The rogue faction had found them. Elite enforcers armed with advanced weaponry swarmed the Nexus, cutting off escape routes. Kane led the Resistance fighters in a desperate battle, their makeshift weapons no match for the enforcers' precision strikes. Elaine's fingers flew over the console as the firefight raged around her. She decrypted layer after layer of security, each one more complex than the last. Sweat dripped down her brow as she bypassed the final firewall, uploading the evidence to the Council's network. But the victory was short-lived. The rogue faction activated a failsafe, destabilizing the Nexus. Energy surged through the structure, causing it to fracture. Elaine realized the only way to prevent a temporal collapse was to shut down the TSE permanently. "If I do this," she thought, "I'll never get back home." Kane covered her as she made her way to the central control hub. The ground beneath them trembled as the Nexus threatened to implode. "We're out of time, Elaine!" Kane shouted, firing at an advancing enforcer. Elaine reached the hub and input the shutdown sequence. The TSE's power core began to cool, stabilizing the Nexus. The enforcers retreated as the rogue faction's plans unraveled, but not before one of their leaders vowed revenge. No return. Elaine successfully deactivated the TSE, stabilizing the Nexus and exposing the rogue faction's crimes. The Council regained control, restoring order to the temporal continuum. Though her actions had saved countless realities, the i.e. cost was steep. Elaine's connection to her original timeline was irreversibly severed. The Council convened to discuss her fate. While some members demanded punishment for her initial breach of the temporal accord, the majority recognized her heroism. They offered her a position as a temporal guardian, a role dedicated to protecting the fabric of time. Elaine hesitated. "I didn't come here to stay. I just wanted to fix my mistake." The presiding member replied, "And you have. But the work is never done. We need someone with your courage and insight." With no way back home, Elaine accepted. Though honored, she couldn't help but grieve for what she had lost. Memories of her old life haunted her. Laughter with colleagues, quiet evenings with her family, the world she once knew. Kane found her alone in the observation deck, staring at the swirling currents of the temporal web. "It's hard, isn't it?" Kane said softly. Elaine nodded. "Hard doesn't even begin to cover it, but I can't let myself wallow. There's too much at stake." Kane smiled. "That's why you belong here. You have the heart for this, even if it's broken." Over the following months, Elaine threw herself into her work, With the rogue faction disbanded, the Council and Resistance collaborated to repair the damage done to the timelines. Elaine's expertise proved invaluable as she helped unravel the complex anomalies left in the wake of the conflict. One day, while analyzing a temporal distortion, she noticed something unusual, a faint signature from her original timeline. It was unstable, like a fragile echo, but it was there. She stared at the data, her breath catching. Kane entered the lab and saw the look on her face. "You found it, didn't you?" Elaine nodded, her voice quiet. "It's still out there, but it's unreachable. A reminder of what I've lost." Kane placed a hand on her shoulder. "Maybe. Or maybe it's a reminder of how far you've come. You're not alone in this anymore, Elaine." Elaine smiled faintly, her resolve hardening. She turned away from the hologram. Her past was out of reach, but her future was here, in the fight to protect time itself. For Elaine Carter, there was no return. But in the vast web of timelines, she found purpose, and that was enough to keep her moving forward.